Today is Friday. We're watching the Dark Journalist show. He's talking about Edward Casey. What I want to talk about for a moment is Edgar Casey looking like David Wilcock, and David Wilcock believing that he may be Edgar Casey. I'm going to put the side by side picture here, and peradventure, what if dumbass David Wilcock was Edgar Casey, but as a dumbed down American, couldn't even unlock his trance-like abilities. He looks like him. He could be. There's a lot of people that look like other people, but I'm not gonna deny the possibility that he could be him and just stupid. Think of all the great things you may have done in a previous life. Because you are great. You have greatness in you. But then you come along to America. You're born in the 70s, maybe the 60s. Now you're full of fucking microplastics and fucking nerve gas. Your pineal glands all shriveled up from the fluoride. What are you gonna do? What do you do about it? Well, you probably find yourself a Corey Good. Maybe, get on Gaia. Be real interested in all this old stuff that something's going on. But you're dumbed down. You're fucked up in your brain. You can't piece it together because of the stupid. And stupid happens. When stupid gets you, and it gets you in the grip, there's little you can do about it. I was watching a video. I made it. Well, I'm taking the psychology portion of the business school, and other than watching the guy whose brain from hydrocephaly filled his whole head with water, his whole brain was just smashed against the inside of his skull, and it was filled with water. When he was 6 months old, he had a surgery, got a shunt, but there was like 20 or 30 years in between there where the hydrocephaly began to come back, and it took over his whole brain. The only real problem that he had was with his left leg being numb. But this other guy works on the railroad. He's got the arm. I'll put the picture. This is something Cage, his last name. I can't remember his first name. Doesn't matter. The fucking rod goes through his fucking brain, pops out here. He's like humanly impaled. They get the rod out. I bet that made a mess. That's a big ass rod. And he recovered, even lived another 11 years after it happened. And he only became an asshole. He was really good at his job before, and then he kind of became regular, but he was a dick because it affected his frontal lobe. And that's how you connect to your feelings. So, I think it's possible David Wilcock may be believing himself to be, who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Edgar Casey prophecies. Edgar Casey's prophecies. But his brain, being now one of us Americans in the future, this isn't the good old America anymore. This is the America that wants you, frequency you with frequency weapons, mind control you with MK Ultra. They're not really interested in you using that type of information for your own stuff. That's not what we're doing here. They don't want that. You can't be doing just whatever willy-nilly you want. You're not going to be... Look, they're spending full times making diseases, plague doctor style diseases. See, imagine if you were. You're a plague doctor. You're causing many plagues. You work diligently. You make diseases. You make plagues. A pox here and there. And then here comes this asshole, Edgar Casey, and he starts treating people using his fucking telepathic fucking trance state gifts. That's no good. You can't have that. He's fixing people. Diseases are hard to come by. You get somebody that's get a cancer here, you fucking, maybe you get a fucking inflammation there. That's not easy shit to come up with if you're having to create diseases to fuck up the population so they can't, rise up against you. It takes a lot of sophisticated shit. So somebody comes here and they're fixing this stuff. You're curing AIDS, you're curing cancer, telling people to eat fucking fish liver, weird ass treatments from your fucking space mind. Your space mind is coming in and giving all these secrets. It's giving away these secrets. These are hardy plagues and diseases. They don't want that. That's going to piss them off. So you look at your David Wilcock now. He doesn't know how to fix any diseases. He doesn't even know how to vet properly Corey Good. You got Corey Good fucking making up all these stories. I channeled it. He didn't fucking go to space. He wasn't in the military. He just made all this shit up. It's a fan fiction. Don't sell me some bullshit as a fan fiction telling me it's real. And I gotta hear about you suing people for saying that your bullshit artist is bullshitting? That's fucked up. So as a plague doctor, I think you understand. This is the last thing we want. We don't want this fucking upstart telling people, and whatever his remedies are, used to not do that, but now it does. It just does. It doesn't want to be tampered with. It wants you to touch and feel it. It wants you to put your hands on its 2,000 parts. So I think it's possible, maybe even highly probable, that we're looking at a dumbed down Edgar Casey in the form of a reincarnated David Wilcock. He's on the right track, but he's full of microplastics. He's full of fucking pesticides. He's got a lot of glyphosate in his fucking works. Even with the brain injury, you can still function, but you become an asshole because your frontal lobe doesn't connect to your fucking your bird brain with all your emotions and feelings and stuff. So, I think the control structure would just like us more to die. But, who do you look like? Have you seen a look-alike of a famous person in history? I saw a whole video where everybody... Patton is Donald Trump. They just put the Gavin Newsom is fucking, the world is just a big sham. We're being recycled again and again, and we keep forgetting. And if you can remember yourself, you can remember someone else, and maybe you can wake us up. Remember yourself.